Welcome, everybody, to Robot Builders Night Virtual for August 13th. We'll do our usual round the table talk with some of the members that have things to present. And after that, we'll just go to our roundtable agenda. Anybody that has a question or wants to talk about something, ad hoc presentations or questions for the club. As usual, these meetings are recorded, both video and audio. So if you do not want to be seen or heard in the videos, you can turn off your camera and mute your mic. With that, we'll start off with Abe and his son with an introduction. Abe just joined us tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Pat. Good afternoon, guys. Or I'm sorry, good evening. My name is Abraham or Abe Lagana. I'm a parent. By day, I do manage cybersecurity projects and programs. But I'm here because I became aware of your guys' organization or group. I'm a parent. My kiddo, who's going to introduce himself right here right now, is a sophomore now in high school. Started doing robotics in 8th grade. I'm very much in support of his endeavors, and found this group. Thought I'd see if we can join. See if we can join the meeting. See what you guys are about. Maybe we can join your organization as my kiddo steps into or continues his path on learning and practicing how to create robots, etc. So that's just me, real quick intro, guys. I'll hand it off to Tito.
Hi guys, I'm Tito Magana. I am currently in my high school robotics team. We do FTC and FRC. Thinking about doing the best this school year though. And I'm very excited to just kind of learn how you guys work and all that, and how like the club is. So.
Oh
yeah.
And a question for you guys: whereabouts are you based?
We're in North DFW. I'm in Anna right now. He attends Allen High School.
Excellent. And do you guys know about monthly meetings, monthly in-person meetings held at the Dallas Makerspace on the fourth Saturday of the month?
So I did review your website. I think is it Carlton or what city is it in? Yeah, Carlton, right? Yeah, I did see that. So when I have them because we share custody. When I have them, I'll definitely see if I can take them out there with you guys. Take them out there to the monthly meeting.
Yeah, perfect. Well, you're welcome. This month we've got a talk by two of the members, Doug Parody and John Highlands, will be presenting 3D CAD tools for doing 3D design for 3D printing. So a kind of like a holistic view for beginners on how to do that whole thing.
I think for me that'll be excellent. Someone's birthday is coming up this Saturday, and I think they put on their wish list 3D printer. So I'm looking. We're exploring that. Yeah.
It's actually the following Saturday, the 24th, is the fourth Saturday.
Oh.
Well, if you're looking for a recommendation, we got lots of them, and you cannot hardly beat a Bamboo A1 Mini or a A1 for all that. You can't beat that with the AMS. You can't beat it with a stick, big stick, little stick, whatever. It does well, and I know I'm not a salesman. I don't collect commission on this. I don't even have an affiliate link. So I'm just so happy with the things. For instance, I just printed off this thing right here. All the rage these days. See, you got all that stuff is doing these fidget spinners that go in and out of themselves.
Okay.
And this is just didn't do anything to it, and it's just dimensionally accurate, and the base setup just works. If you want to tweak it, you can, but I have yet to have to tweak the thing, and I've had it for about 2 months now, and I printed all kinds of stuff.
Right on.
Or if you want to just tiptoe into the water, you can enter with something like the Prusa clone you can see behind me, which I've had for about 10 years now.
Okay.
You can certainly do that too.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it, Tom. Thanks for the recommendation.
Prizza clones are cheap and they're pretty reliable.
Right on.
Yeah, for
Um,
FYI, this is one of those 3D printing and things related to that. It's one of those topics where it doesn't take much and you can spark a 45-minute discussion with whatever opinion. And then you can pick whatever of the best answer. They're all the best if you ask the person giving it, but
Yep.
you can pick whichever best answer you want.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not married to none of them, and we're not salesmen. We're just really passionate about the ones we like.
Cool.
Sometimes you'll even hear the same answer from two people. That's when you know you're onto something.
Yep. Thank you.
and the I mean, not that we're a 3D printing group at all, but robotics is really the conjunction of mechanical, electrical, and software. And the mechanical stuff tends to need custom shaped things.
Yep.
And so hence our interest in 3D stuff, but it's by no means the sole focus of the group. The focus of the group is really on autonomous robots.
Right on. Yeah, that's definitely what he's interested in, and he wants 3D printer to make parts.
Yeah, you can't hardly be into robotics and not do a little 3D planning, mechanical design, electronic building, all those sorts of things play into this. And depending on how far you want to go in each one of those subjects, it's that the well is very deep on every one of them. But it's a wide breadth to make these robots do what they do.
Cool.
Yeah. My robot is mostly 3D printed with some metal parts.
Nice. All right, Ted, I'm seeing that. Yeah.
Lots of them there.
Cool. Well, thanks for sharing, guys. Don't want to derail the conversation, but I appreciate it.
We derail it all the time without you. Trust us. It's all right.
And if you want to think about sort of mechanical grade parts for your robot, you need to choose a printer that's going to be able to do some less common filaments. Like we use PLA for prototyping every once in a while, and so we just did that, and it's nice hard plastic. It's nice and rigid. But you don't know when it's going to break, and if you leave it in the Texas heat in a car, this happened to us this last weekend. We have this mono swerve that they're supposed to demo at the fly set workshop this weekend. Are you guys going to be there?
I mean, we're open.
Well, you might want to think about it. So the fly set is like the biggest. This is TechnicBots. That's one of the leading teams in the world, and they're here in Dallas, and they always run this every year. And so there's going to be a lot of good presentations there. My team will be doing a couple of presentations there as well. So, but that's this Saturday. So if you've got a birthday, then you might have plans already. But yeah, so my team was supposed to do a demo of a mono swerve that they've been designing over the summer, and it melted horribly, so they're rapidly trying to reprint.
Okay.
But we normally print in nylon for the rigid parts.
Okay. And is this the fly set, I guess?
Fly set is the organization that's behind the TechnicBots team.
Okay.
I'm not affiliated with them. I coach a different team. But it's the biggest sort of summer workshop in North Texas.
Okay. So, well, thanks, Fun. I appreciate it. If you can later just put, I'll look it up. But if I can't,
I can put the link in the chat.
Thanks.
Yeah, Abe and Tito, you should know that the guy talking, Ponder Some More, is Kareem. He is like what runs a couple of first Tech Challenge teams, one of which is really top notch, one of the best in North Texas. So, and I heard you say Tito is in First Robotics, right?
Yeah, I did FTC because I heard like TechnicBots and fly stuff from someone else. Like that sounds so familiar. So
Yeah. So Kareem's an extremely knowledgeable resource. in that domain.
I've been coaching FTC for about 12 years now.
Right on. Cool. They got a Discord. Cool.
What team are you on?
Last year I was on 12106. It's the LFC or Lowry Freshman Center for Allen.
Okay. I coach Iron Rain.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks, Kareem.
Sure.
All right. I think Ray was up next.
Sure. Hello. Screen.
Well, come on.
And not that one. But that one. Okay, I finally got this so I could display it on the screen. And I updated the samples a little bit. Actually added more images of the cone and more a set of images that had no cone in it, and it did increase the. Did somebody say something? Okay,
That might have been my kitten.
oh, okay. Anyway, so it is finding the cone. I think the training or the pictures that I did take, for the most part, they fill the frame top to bottom. And if I get too close, it will not recognize the cone. Or it gets a little flakier. And if I get too far back, it won't recognize it either. There it's. But for the most part, in kind of a range that I took most of the pictures in, I can only get so far away from the cone with the camera in this room. And I think the cone for the contest is much bigger than this, or much smaller than this cone, probably about half the size. So, if I want good results, I should probably train it with the cone that we're going to use.
Wow. That's a concept, Ray. That's a novel concept.
Yeah. Anyway, but I don't have those cones. I think Doug's got most of the cones. I'll have to find out where he gets them. As far as looking at things that are maybe similar in color, it does not give any false readings. So it's definitely trained to see something that looks like a cone.
Ray, are you training on color images or do you black and white them?
No, it's color. And I get to annotate, where the cone is in the picture. And then you can give it what they refer to as negative examples of, it's an image that doesn't have a cone in it, just a background image. So it's working pretty good. It's hard to say what the frame rate is. I probably had a few lines of code to figure that out, but seems pretty fast. I had a guess, maybe 15 to, I don't know, maybe 25, kind of in that range, frames per second, which is pretty good.
Right. You have to, you'd have to write a little strip and on your script and, eliminate the pictures being formed and also not do it in this interface. And that'll give you the highest cone rate, frame rate.
Oh yeah. The speed. Yeah.
Yeah. I found that I don't know on the Maxicam, but on some other cameras that were similar, turning off the interface almost doubled the rate.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's what happens with the OpenMV H7.
Yeah.
But it seems to do pretty good, considering I think I have 70 images of cones and 20 images of background. Not a lot of photos. And like I said, I couldn't get really very far away from the cone. So I think if I trained it with images, you know, of different distances away from the cone.
That'll definitely help.
Yeah, it should work better. Don't know if I'm ready to jump over and not use, you know, blob detection, because that's been pretty reliable.
Have you added blob detection to this strip to see, you know, let it, you know, just let it, you know, give you the box, you know what I'm saying, the XY,
Oh,
you know, or
yeah.
the centroid, just let it give you the centroid and compare how it does with this. And you can always use them, you know, kind of like a belt and suspenders type thing. You shouldn't even have to add another camera. You should just be able to do it in the
Oh,
in
yeah. Yeah.
in the Python.
Probably could add it to, you know, the main .py program.
Yeah.
So, so it seems pretty easy. It's pretty fast. You know, to do the development of the model. You know, they've got an app that you can actually scan a barcode and load the model automatically. In this case, it's around 6 megabytes in size. So, not too bad.
At the meeting in 2 weeks, do you think you could do a little, just a, you know, show, here's what I did, dun 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 dun, on your computer?
Sure.
I think that would be useful.
Yeah. Have you made any progress with yours, Doug? Or
I really haven't worked with it.
okay.
I had COVID the last 2 weeks, and so I'm not COVID-y now. You know, it was a slow progress to get here.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I had it last month. I had to go on Paxlovid, so had a pretty bad case of it. Fever of 103 and all that. So
I didn't have that, so I'm kind of lucky. I mean, mine was less than a flu.
Wow, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, but it did. You know, it's, you still feel like doo doo.
Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know for what it is, what it costs, and the power consumption right now. It's at 5 volts. It's drawing like 340 milliamps.
Now,
So,
right?
What?
You're using a Pi right now, right?
No.
No, you're using an ESP32.
Well, it's the.
Oh, you know, you're just plugged into USB. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the MaxCam's plugged into my PC.
Boy, but if you can do this with a USB 32, I'm not sure you could, but I'm saying if you could, then that would be kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, I'd probably just send over like the centroid of the, you know, where and all I need really is the X centroid. You know, from where it thinks the cone is in the image, and so it seems to track, and you get outside of it, you know, you can't really find it. But
okay, let me tell you some things that I've learned. Okay, now like get it right in the middle of the frame.
Okay.
You know, you're popping along pretty good. Now go to the edge of the frame. Keep going.
Yep.
Keep going. Somewhere in there, you don't have any training images that are partial.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and so that's you can improve the edge performance a little bit by not always having a cone in the exact center.
Oh, yeah.
Not that it should make any difference, but I'm just saying it is what it is.
Yeah.
But partial cones, you definitely want to, and you also want to get up close. Now, Ray, I can bring probably a cone to the meeting in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And
I'd like to buy some just for,
okay, well, that's what, we actually, the club only has 2 cones.
Oh, okay.
The third cone is mine. So, so I would say that, yeah, go ahead and buy them. If you look at the rule set, I believe there's an active link. They have come in and out of stock. So sometimes they're not, quote, not available, but sometimes they are.
Okay.
So, and I also have found this, that the difference between cones is, like if you can't get that one, you can see there's an alternative cone. I know that one's always there, and it's probably even a little cheaper. It's probably like $9 or $10. And what I found that if you're doing this sort of stuff, the cone doesn't really have to be exact. Do you know what I'm saying? Because you've learned some coneness. Now I did find, well, at least I noticed when Bob cooked, by looking at his pictures that he showed us last time, he did not train on anything but orange cones. And I'm not saying that's bad or good. I'm just saying, though, I did notice that when he tried images that had different colored cones, they didn't pick them up. So there's in his training set, there's an orangeness that's important. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It's not the shape of the cone completely. It's the shape of the cone and the orangeness. And I was real impressed with your tape test. That you need that type. I threw in a lot of images of people like in orange jumpsuits and weird stuff. But it's not picking up nothing.
Yeah.
There's not even a ding 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 flick.
Yeah.
So that right there.
Whoops, here's one.
I
spoke too soon.
Because you're up close.
Yeah.
So now it's starting to look like a cone. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why you also need to take pictures of I have pictures in mine where the cone, where my thing is right butt up on it. And it doesn't look like a cone at all. You can tell it's a cone because you're a human, but you know what I'm trying to say? It doesn't look real coney. And I don't know if those are good images to include or bad images to include, but I did include them. And,
well, can you rotate the camera 90 degrees?
Oh, yeah.
While looking at the cone, what does it do?
It doesn't find it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting.
A cone on its side, only one sitting this way.
But it might not be rotation invariant, right? You might need to train it on sideways cones or angled cones.
Well, a lot of times the models have, I don't know, I guess you call them preprocessors, where they'll go through you can say rotate, and they'll rotate some of your images and throw them in there. So it increases the number of images you have without you having to take the additional images, because they're different. But you can make it less sensitive to being tilted.
Yeah, it looks like it'll tolerate a little tilt there. Like, okay, there it's lost it, but there.
But do you want it to find tilted cones?
Well,
that's the other question.
Is your robot going to be upside down or sideways?
Let's hope not. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But tilting, that's realistic. I mean, you may come at a cone.
Yeah, some angle, but probably not 90 degrees, right?
Oh no, let's hope not.
Yeah. I got to admit, I put a few TED in there that were 90, but I will say, you're not expecting to see those.
Yeah.
But the question is, and this is what I'm struggling with, is how do you get maximum coneness?
I just put Tier back outside because
coneness.
He was getting fed up. I was about to attack him.
Well, it was important to me.
Yeah.
So even black and white images or masked images, you know what I mean?
We're going to mute you, Kareem.
Yeah. So how do you get it to be more cone detecting and not color detecting, or whatever. But
Yeah.
you know,
Doug,
it's just an opinion because you know Bob, he took his all from the same camera angle. He took them all on the same type of cone. He never had two cones in the picture, which
Yep.
I always thought of having multiple cones in the picture are a way to get additional cones without taking additional pictures. And I'm not sure that's, you know, so I took pictures, a lot of my pictures have multiple cones in them simply because I didn't want to take as many pictures.
but Doug, did you then label each cone?
Yeah,
I think-
you have to label them, but
Because I think if you
but
did that-
now they're even doing something weirder, or at least on RoboFlow. You can take in a new set and add it to your existing library, your existing model, and your model does the labeling. Okay, so you can have the model do most of the work. Now, I'm not saying don't have to check it, but I'm saying is, so you got 500 pictures. If you already have a model that's kind of picking out cones already, you know, it'll go through there and pick out 487 of the cones or something like that. You know, some real big number. And the ones that it doesn't pick up are going to be weird, probably weird images. Now, like I say, you have to check it because you don't want bad data, bad input is bad input, you know? So anyway, that's just some things that I've kind of tripped upon in my gentle approach to this.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, I didn't think about like partial cone images, but yeah, I think it's kind of unfortunate that the cone that we do use in the contest is pretty small. I kind of like these larger cones; they're a little easier to find. So you got to get closer to the small cones.
Oh, hey, I had a quick question there, Ray, before you shut all your stuff down. But the camera window and histogram, was that a part of Visual Studio, or was that just laying on top from what that Python script opens up that window?
Oh, that's part of the God, what is that? MaxPy. They have an IDE, and that it's just there. Yeah, it's similar to the OpenMV one.
Perfect.
I think it also shows that.
Great.
But,
Thanks.
So, Chris asked in the chat, what's the list of affordable AI cameras in use by this group? And it seems to me that people are using about one of everything, but I've been feeling like we could really use a presentation, a talk on here are the cams. Here's what's on the market that's an AI cam, and some little kind of like overview of what are its strengths, its weaknesses, and
yeah, I'm not an expert on this yet. I'm just kind of starting out, but I could show you, the process and what it takes. It's not very, it doesn't take very long to do. The thing that takes the most time is taking all the photos and kind of setting that up in different lighting conditions and different angles and all that kind of stuff, different distances away from the camera. So creating the model takes like maybe less than 10 minutes. So,
Ray, have you thought about using Bob Cook's images?
not yet. I haven't. I just kind of did it from the comfort of an air-conditioned room here in Texas. Couldn't get too far away from it because the room isn't that big. But Yeah, or Doug's images. I think Doug's taken quite a few images too. So
Doug has as well. Both of them have sets. Some of them with box drawn around. Well, it may be useful. You don't have to go outside and take them; they're already there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Ray. And I think you would find if you threw away all your image or start a new model and just grabbed one of these other sets. Bob has his, if you want to just be purist, and mine is also now got Bob's images in it. Okay, but I'm just saying, so you could use either one of those, and I bet you'd find that you could find a cone inside your room is good or better than what you're doing now. Otherwise, without any of your indoor pictures at all, there's enough images of cones in those sets that you still would pick them up. Now, you know those little, you can find them at God, what's the name of that store? Dollar store. You know, at Dollar Store, they run, you can usually go to the toy section, and they have like 4 cones that are from like soccer cones. So they're only 8 inches or so, maybe 8-inch tall cones. But that, that's a real quick way to get 4 additional cones for $1 or I think they're $1.25 now, or whatever they are. And you can use those to add to your image set in your room if you wanted to.
Yeah. Yep.
Or you can use them to verify. You've never seen this. Here it is. Do you see it? That's pretty much how I had started out. I had all my cone pictures from outdoors, and then when I was in the room, I said, well, okay, can you see one of these? Because they weren't the same size, but the thing is, they are, they look like a cone. So if you're thinking of it as a cone, it's just out further than the 18-inch cone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah. All good ideas.
Hey, Abe, I think you raised your hand. Was that for the lead that you had on this cone from Dollar Tree?
It was this question or a comment for Ray. The comment was, well, might your robot be inverted or at an angle or on a different plane? But as you're training, I mean, maybe and I'm not sure what the requirements are for the build, right? But cone is a cone. It could be at a 90 degree. The cone could be tilted over. So, I mean, you got pictures now that you can train on. With I'm not sure if you can relatively easily just modify them at a 90 or whatever, so that you can train them on a cone that's sideways, maybe.
Yeah.
Typically,
the cone is not going to be sideways because the bigger picture here is we're all practicing and trying to get our robots ready for a contest called Robo Columbus, where the robot has to navigate around and touch 3 cones, which will all be standing at more or less vertical, and the robots will be more or less horizontal.
Okay.
Hopefully.
But what I would say is, like I said,
yourself.
A lot of these places have preprocessors where you can change it. It automatically goes in and changes your contrast. It changes your saturation. It changes your noise. And all of these are new images created from old images. So rotation is one of those things. So
yeah, there's an option for rotation on, you can rotate, you can blur, and I think invert is the third one.
Yeah.
Let me see here.
I never pushed invert. I didn't figure we'd see any of them upside down with the tennis ball on the inside.
Yeah. Anyway, it's
just rotating the image. If you do want to detect cones laying over, may not do it all by itself because they're often sort of compared to a ground plane. They're almost always photographed on a ground plane of some sort, right? So it may still sort of rewrite that image.
Yeah, I'd love to experiment, Kareem, or hear about experiments where you train in different lighting and with different like levels of completeness of the cone in sight, but with the cone basically and different colors of lighting even, but with the cone basically on a very flat background and well labeled, so that there's when you're training, when you're labeling it, there's really nothing there but the cone in the image. And I also wonder if that's how we train for the positive, the presence of a cone, if it could make sense to take images like Ray had earlier of his orange duct tape roll, or Ray in his decoy orange pants and jersey, his traffic cop shirt, you know, all the things we do to tease each other now and then. To take photos of those
images are very valuable, Carl.
And label them as negative images.
Correct.
So that you have both positive orange things and negative orange things. And then hopefully that, to me, help show the difference between, well, the weighting that the neural net must build related to the content of not just color, but shape. And the relative importance of each.
Yep. Yeah, I think for me, I just need to, you know, probably at least triple the number of images I have, because right now I only have like, I think 70 total images, and then 20 of negative, or, you know, images without the cone in it. So, and even in that, it takes, I think like 10 images of your positive images to validate. So really it's only working on 60 images. So, but maybe the end of August when it cools down, you know, get out there with my.
Yeah, you prove the feasibility of it, and you have the process. Getting more images is just taking a couple of days to do it.
Yep. Wonder if Steve would let me bring some orange cones over to his property and, you know, get the actual background, you know, actual lighting. Make the best model I possibly can.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm a little concerned about whether my robot base is going to handle his terrain. You know, it would be nice to be able to go up there and run it around, even if it wasn't looking for cones, you know, just to see, can I get up that hill or can I not get up the hill or whatever. But anyway.
Use your best batteries, you know, fully charged, and grunt up, you know, it's way up the hill.
Can't you find some other, like Flagstaff Hill by White Rock, or there's got to be other hills by you somewhere?
Oh yeah, I'm just saying, it's, you know, there's nothing like doing it on the real thing. And the nice thing about doing it on Steve's is you don't have weird people, you know, like saying, I'm going to tell the police on you, you know. So that's a big advantage.
He does have a nice hosting process for the ability for that. Yes.
Yeah. And my yard is just a little too small for me to really adequate test things. Yeah, you know, I mean, I'm sure I'm not using it to its fullest, but even so, it's, you know, I got the classic, what is it, 150 by 300, you know, lot. I don't have the big half acre in the back.
Yep. So for those who aren't familiar, what we're talking about is one of our members has for the last few years hosted our outdoor competition in his, whatever it is, 2 or 3 acre plot. And and we set up a course that's about, what is it, 100 meters on a leg, a triangle,
Mhm.
in his backyard. And it's sloped with a house and our donuts and food at the top, and certain depth of a water trap is in the form of a lake at the bottom. And that's where we put the cones.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes.
And then
In the lake.
Yeah, right on the edge of the lake, if we can help it.
right on the edge.
But we've never had the 10 feet circle overlap the lake.
Oh, that would be evil. Another fact for newcomers is that Doug, who is just speaking, tends to write the rules. So you got to be careful what you suggest out loud.
Could happen.
We get an extra point for going into the lake and surviving.
At least one. I think it's.
Yeah, I have thought about
it. Should be.
I have thought about this, and I'll throw this out as an idea. It's not in the rule set, and it's not. But you know how we had a Da Vinci board in the past for people who had the most unique or interesting variation or idea that nobody thought of, or whatever you want to call it. You know, and I'm not even sure that we'd want to actually guarantee that it would be awarded, but it might be nice to have something like that, that if somebody really came up with something that, you know, is like, wow, that's really an interesting approach, that we could give them that award. Any thought? Yeah. Any thoughts?
Hoverbot coming right up.
No. Well, I guess a hoverbot would work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah. Yeah.
Tom's ready.
Tom's ready. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, or maybe, you know, part drone, part four-wheeled or robot.
That might be another way to handle the lake too. So anyway.
Of course, yeah, you get a bird's eye view. It's real easy to find cones. Anyway, that's all I had.
Cool.
I'm
going to throw out a.
Come in and sneak in with something. Did you get it in yet?
You're a little muffled there, Paul.
You said that you wanted to sneak in with something on this topic before we moved on. Did you get it in yet?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes, thanks. It was the question about negative images of orange things.
Okay, I have one more. Building on the Da Vinci Award, I'm thinking, as a potential rule, what we would do is everybody would have a ballot who ran in the race, even people who didn't score a point, and they would write down the robot that they think is the most innovative. And if it scored better than, and I'm going to throw a number out here, 60% of the votes, then the award would be issued, and that person would get a special award and maybe some cash. Not cash, prize.
Love that. Like that.
Okay. Okay. I'll look at that and try to flesh it out and put it in. It won't be part of the official rule set. It'll be a separate document that'll be part of the competition. Okay. That way I don't have to change the rule set again. But we can handle it.
I think that's a really great idea, and love the idea of encouraging innovation and novel ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of prizes and all those sorts of things, I have a third place prize certificate from the Roborama, and I would like to say, Paul, just go ahead and apply that to my membership, please.
Okay, Harold, I got it. Can you put it in the chat so I have an official record?
Yes, I will give you an official record.
That's what we call dividend reinvestment, I guess.
I also have a voucher that I would like to recuperate or exchange or whatever
I'm sorry.
from first prize at a Roborama competition.
Okay.
So how do I do that? Do I just send you a copy of the receipt?
Actually, you don't have to send it to me. I would be appreciated being copied on it. It needs to go to our treasurer,
Okay.
Steve Edwards. And you just say, Steve, I'm cashing in my first place at Four Squares, which I believe is where you got it. And you know, here's my receipt, a copy of my receipt. And that's all it takes.
Okay.
And it does help if you have a PayPal account. It makes it much easier for him. He'll just transfer it over to you immediately.
I do have a PayPal account as well.
So you should tell him what the PayPal account is.
Okay.
The email.
Okay, I'll find his email on our server and
Yeah.
I'll get that sent out.
Yeah. If you can't find it for some reason, we'll let you know. You just send us a message and we'll send it to you.
Okay.
Treasure at DPRG.org, I believe will get to him.
It should get to him. Yes.
Okay. Thanks, guys. I've been on a little bit of a buying spree lately, so I figure, okay, I'll exercise the coupon and or the prize money and send it in.
Excellent.
Hey,
Good job.
Abe, you got to jump in, dude.
Yeah, sorry guys. So I had to jump out actually.
Raise your hand. Feel free to jump in.
All right, well, I appreciate it, guys. So guys, I hate to jump out. I got to get him back to his mom so he can finish up his homework, and then he's got an early day tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it was great meeting you guys. Looking forward to hanging out, and we're gonna look at that application for UTD, and then we'll see you guys the next week, not the week after, right at the onsite.
Every Tuesday night and every fourth Saturday.
Yeah, at the monthly. Yep. Cool. But thank you
for stopping in,
and great meeting you guys.
Likewise.
Likewise.
Yep.
All right.
Take care now.
See you guys. Have a good night.
Gary, have you been to any of these meetings before? Is this your first time?
So excuse me one second. Hey, no worries. Hey, sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ah, perfect. Yeah, just as you were coming on, a tour was going through our makerspace, which is this is always the timing. Yeah. No, I'd heard about it through Hero Channel, and then I want to see what some of the other maker groups and some of the other robotic groups. So we'll see what they're kind of up to, and maybe stop in if I'm ever back in the Dallas area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So you're in another makerspace now, somewhere?
Yeah. We got the small makerspace here in Calgary, Alberta, up in Canada. So we have our open houses there.
There's a few of us in Canada.
And
So,
I flew through there last week to Banff. All right.
Oh yeah, and Banff is great when it's not smoky. This year has been a couple of the small towns were evacuated already for fires and stuff, but thankfully. Yeah, Calgary is mostly just farmland and stuff like that. So yeah, but we're basically like the Texas of Canada. They got all the oil and gas and all the cowboys and Western and Calgary Stampede every year. If you're back, that's our big event. So, but yeah, no, just out here at the makerspace tonight, getting ready for the Kilobots Combat Robotics on the weekend, and then try to enter something into that sort of a beginner, and then. maybe spend the money next year on a $600 or $800 unit.
Yikes.
Yikes.
Well, welcome, Gary.
Welcome.
Yeah, no, it sounds.
There's a few of us from Canada here.
Oh yeah.
So there's Tom online. There's myself, another member,
Oh, okay.
John, and I'm trying to remember. There's another guy from Calgary.
Oh yeah, no way. Yeah, could actually be a guy from our makerspace. We have a number of the local robot guys, and I think we're the one of the two makerspaces. So if they're not hanging out at the other one, they're usually hanging out at this one.
Yep.
Yeah, Banff was a neat area. I
Oh,
understood that the town of Jasper burnt down.
Yeah, I think they said 30% of the structures were lost in Jasper, and then I think they're starting to let people back in now, but they, ship most people out, and then just letting anyone that officially lost anything or lost a house or a structure, then they're letting them in first, and then letting the other ones kind of in later and start back up.
Yeah, yeah. There was a huge lodge on top of a hill, kind of overlooked the town. Did that burn?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I hadn't followed it for a week or two, and to see exactly what parts of the town were lost. I think I've only been there maybe two times, maybe.
Yep.
But still pretty devastating.
They reopened the Columbia ice fields on Thursday, and we got up there Friday.
Oh, nice, eh? Just
Cool.
some time.
I wanted to go and didn't have tickets last time I was at Jasper, and I would have had to wait till like 8 o'clock at night to get out there.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
No, otherwise, actually, it was unexpected. I didn't realize you guys did this kind of robotics work and automation, sort of, our autonomous vehicle kind of work, which is sort of interesting. And I'd like to bring back some of that to Maker Faire in the next couple of years, now that it's restarting. Bring back more of the autonomous sumo, and the combat robots are fun, but so is the some of the autonomous sumo. And just before it all shut down a couple of years ago, we were trying to do a minesweeper event where we'd have to, you'd have to go through and you have to mark the mines in the sand, and what else? Yeah, navigate through the little city. So that'd be kind of a fun one to bring back in.
Yep.
next, I think we had on the list was Tom.
Okay. What I thought I would do is just show a little bit of the work I've been doing on an outdoor robot. Since all the robots I've been playing with in the past have all been small indoor robots, and since we're kind of pushing towards our own Robo Columbus up here in Canada, I thought I better have something or get some my feet wet with an outdoor robot. So I rummaged through my junk pile and see if I can get this in the field of view. So in the junk pile was this thing, which is about a 1/10 scale RC toy class outdoor radio controlled vehicle. I've gently pushed it out of toy category by replacing the bang bang steering with a servo. So it now has proportional steering, 2-wheel drive, Ackerman steering. And I've begun to implement a bunch of stuff on it to make it a little more usable and provide me with a bit of a test bed. So it's got some displays, some power control for the battery. It'll run from a 2S lithium. Because I also have a bunch of ESP32s kicking around, even though I said I was going to go with Raspberry Pi Picos, there's an ESP32 on board this thing. I understand outdoor robots ought to have a secondary safety channel, so I've stuck a conventional radio control, RC car radio control system on here. I have a few of these lying around. It will, pardon me, where things are falling off. This is not quite ready to run. I have not put power on it yet. I'm attempting to get all the ugly stuff I hate doing out of the way, all the mechanical design and configuration and the wiring, because I've learned the hard way that you better do that correctly first, or you'll be sorry. So it's not completely wire checked, so I haven't put power on it yet, but that'll be this week. It's got a bunch of sensors in terms of being able to provide some control and some more testing. There's an IMU. There's a bunch of non-contact distance sensors that I will experiment with, infrared, laser, and ultrasonics. I'll put a compass on it as well. You'll see there's a 2x2 block of wood sitting there, and that's intended to hold an aluminum mast, which I'll use to locate a compass a couple of feet up above the deck of the car to keep it away from the magnetics. So all in all, it should give me something that allows me to gain a little bit more experience with an outdoor robot. And once it's running, I'll have something to show people as I've been kind of volunteered to go and find a place to hold our Robo Columbus. And I figured I better have something to show before I start bagging access to big pieces of land.
Yeah. That's great.
We'll see how it goes anyways.
Yeah. Hey, Tom, I just want to just pin me for just a second. I want to show you something that I did a while back, a long time ago, but see if it looks familiar.
Oh my God, yes. Looks like a new Bright robotics unit.
I don't think it's new Bright, but it's close. You know, one of the advantages of it though is wheels this big are really expensive. So anyway, just I just want you to encourage you that what you're doing is cool.
I talked to Bob Cook a bit a couple of weeks ago as well, partly because this is my first endeavor with Ackerman steering, which would not be my first choice. I'd go for four-wheel differential steering, of which I have some others in my junk pile. But Bob says for outdoor stuff, don't worry about it. It's easy. He also said, don't worry much about odometry. Odometry is not how you make a Robo Columbus work well. He says the sensors will be the most important parts.
Yeah, your GPS would probably be
and a GPS. There's a GPS on there as well.
Yeah, I see. I did do some, but it was more. I don't know if you can see this, but it's just a little disc that was glued into the inside of the wheel, and then an infrared sensor was used to pick it up. One thing, though, is surprisingly, if you have a good heading and your bang bang steering really isn't a big disadvantage. Okay. You can use bang bang steering on these things, because if you think about it, when you start off, you got 100 yards to go. So if you have a heading and you kind of like do this a little bit, it doesn't really matter. And when you get down close, then you're hopefully whatever vision system or distance sensor or whatever you're using to detect a cone, and by the way, vision, there's a lot of successful robots that all they did was use ultrasonic. You can go to ShyBots and look at some of their older videos and see that they did it in pretty challenging conditions. So I'm just saying is don't get too over. It's nice to have proportional. There's no question. It's nice, but these toys just really have so much slop in them that bang bang is definitely adequate.
Yeah, I wanted to improve a little bit on this one because it was what I call bottom of the barrel bang bang toy car.
Yeah, the one I showed you is pretty near the bottom. I think it was a $3 Goodwill find. So
that's where mine come from.
Yeah, and I didn't even go so far as to put an RC interface on it. It actually I tapped into the existing PC board and just pulled all the signals from that.
Mm-hmm. I was going to do that with this one, but the electronics are so primitive that I just abandoned the whole thing and built my own.
Well, there's a big problem with it because I used to have two of these, and what happens is if they die, since they're just something you randomly got, there's no solution for that, and you have to go to an RC solution.
And you can see that all the important electronics are sitting on daughter boards, which are easy to remove from this platform. They just unplug. So I'll just put them on the next RC car in my junk box.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds like you're on your way.
I've had interesting luck with some 3D printed spoked wheels, which I have mounted inside the inner hub of these large RC car wheels, and then used an optical detector to pick up the movement of the spokes for low resolution odometry. So I will probably add that to these wheels.
Yeah.
It goes right inside the hub. It's out of the way, and it seems to work well.
Well, yeah, it gives you a little more control over speed too.
I hadn't realized
that's what this was for.
I hadn't realized it, but Bob Cook says his winning Robo Magellan robot only has 20 pulses per wheel turn for odometry, and he says he doesn't really use it.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited about you guys up there. It's going to be interesting to see how you guys do. I mean, October is like September, October. It's not long. It's coming up.
Pushing hard on this one.
Yeah.
John, remind us, Doug.
John's not here, but he would be happy to know that I also placed MicroPython on board the ESP32. I figured if I'm going to learn MicroPython, then I better stick with it. I've been buying Python books.
Yeah.
This one looked interesting. This is build your own robot using Python and Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
We'll see. There's a bunch here. That's it. Oh, and the only other question is, anybody bought a Raspberry Pi Pico 2 yet?
Nope.
Now that they've been announced this week. No, not yet. No.
I bought this week. I bought or a couple of weeks ago. I bought not a Raspberry Pi, an STM32F405, like a Pi board clone, to put MicroPython on. And I just received yesterday a Teensy 4.1 that I'm either contemplating doing in Arduino or doing on MicroPython. So I'm hedging my bets. I bought a couple of different MCUs to try to put into this robot. And I've also still got the Raspberry Pi 4 if I want to go that route. I figure my programs will convert fairly easy on the Raspberry Pi 4. They're written in Python. So MicroPython shouldn't be that big of a stretch. But I figured if I put it all onto a MicroPython board, I might get rid of some of the latency problems I've been having with communication across USB to Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, I'm always been curious about how Tom gets away with that. He obviously, does anybody know, does Tom have a real-time processor in addition to his Pi, or is he just using a Pi?
You mean John?
No, Tom. Tom. Not Tom. Mike, I'm sorry. I'll get it here. Mike seems to be able, I know he's using ROS. He's using he used to use a Pi 4, but I think he's using a Pi 5 now. And he seems to have very successful robots. And I was just curious, I know he has an ESP32, but I think it's only being used to communicate with his wristwatch. So I was just curious if he was using any real-time functions on that.
That's my understanding as well. Is that's all he did was add an ESP32 on his robot so he could talk to the wristwatch.
Yeah. Anyway, he seems to have less problems with latency than some of us have with a Raspberry Pi. I mean, I would never use a Raspberry Pi for things like motor control, and I would just use some local processor for that sort of level. I'm just curious. Anyway,
Why did you use a MicroPython instead of CircuitPython? Is there
I don't think there's
a distinct difference?
there are differences, and I think probably the biggest reason why people don't is because they're generally not using Adafruit's per supplied boards, and
Correct. That's my reason too.
yeah. So I'm not sure.
There's some technical issues there, and Murray would know more than any of us here, I'd imagine.
Yeah,
On this, but it has to do with some things that involves tasking and multitasking sort of stuff where you got multiple threads, and there's some things like that the CircuitPython people have decided they're just not going to do, and so the MicroPython people do. I believe this, if I remember, if a neuron's firing correctly, what Murray used to say. Now that might have changed in the last 2 years, so take that with a grain of salt.
CircuitPython will not support the second processor in the Pico, but from my research, there's not a whole lot of advantage in trying to use it anyway using MicroPython. But it's there, you can use it, but it seems to be very hard to access.
Okay, yeah, because I was using some CircuitPython just at work, and then because it came on the board and everything, and then actually one of the reasons I was looking at MicroPython was to maybe use the second core, but I'm kind of at the point where I'm just going to have to relearn C and then embedded C and C++.
Yeah,
but hopefully Copilot will give me a hand on that one.
Yeah, the data synchronization between the two processors appears to be handicapped in Python and MicroPython, which tends to make it very difficult to use it unless you can commit a lot of processing to run on the second processor virtually independently, and it has to be a lot. Otherwise, switching back and forth doesn't work very well. From what
my application was more for running the web server more on the one core, and it can kind of deal with those web requests. And then if something kind of jacks up that side, at least the theoretically the other core can keep doing its low level stuff, and then just wait.
I don't use any Adafruit products. My preferred supplier is that company called CHINA, and that's where I get most of my stuff from. So I didn't want to get too vendor specific in the language I was using.
Oh yeah.
I'm liking it. I don't think its interpreted nature is going to be an issue. And I sure as heck like the speed of interactive development with an interpreter. It really works. Well. I use Thani, so it's a simple IDE, but it works really well.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that's a big great thing. Yeah, you don't have to write 40 or 50 lines of code and try to dig through compile errors just to make the light blink or figure out how to get some I2C data.
My Arduino code was getting pretty substantial in size, so the iterative nature of testing was getting kind of awkward on smaller machines, and that's why I elected not to go that route with the 32-bit processors.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see.
Doug, you were asking if Mike has a microcontroller, and I was just pulled up his GitHub page on his RoboColumbus 2025, and he does have a microcontroller which selects between the computer in the cabin and the RC receiver, and he says it also relays the steering, throttle, and shift signals from the computer and servos and motor ESC. It also allows the computer to set default ranges and set statuses back. And it's a WaveShare RP2040 Pico-like board. So I think that's the answer to your question. He does have a little microcontroller in there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You also have a Raspberry Pi, a full-blown one?
Yeah, that's right. He has the main processor is a Raspberry Pi 5 currently.
Because he's running ROS on there, ROS 2.
Correct.
Did he implement micro ROS on any of the smaller processors he's using, Paul?
No, he has not implemented micro ROS. I don't know of anyone that has at this point.
Yeah, I tried once or twice and I couldn't get it to do anything that I wanted it to do, so I sort of moved on and probably need to go back to it at some point.
Yeah, I'd like to try it out too. but it's got other things in front of us.
Yeah. The only Ross thing I got going on is the rover, and let's just say the rover made a showing at Moon Day, but he didn't exactly win any beauty awards. So, so
Is it going to show up at Robo Columbus? Is the question?
no,
Harold?
he will not be. I'm in doing other things. I don't want to take over anybody's slot right now, but I got a couple of questions to ask our brain trust here.
Okay.
So,
All right. So we're ready to move on to the next item in the queue, which I think is me.
That's you.
So I just wanted to share, and this is not in any way to steal thunder from the presentation that Doug and John are doing, because they're going to cover a lot more detail, I think, but on 3D CAD design. But I did share a while back that I've been going through teaching myself on shapes, and let's see, I'm hoping that you will be able to see. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, there it is. So do you see an on-shape drawing there?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so this is my first attempt, and you know, so I welcome any feedback or comments that anyone may have, but it's my first attempt at designing something in 3D CAD, and it has two parts to it. Well, two 3D printed parts, and then a few other parts. So it has a frame that is mirror image. So you have two of these, and the coupled together, and then a bumper with a rod coming out of it that goes through these holes, and there'll be a spring between the bumper and it will fit. It will press against the back side of the bumper and the front side of the frame that it's fitting against. And so it was really very interesting to me and John and Doug are going to go through all this sort of stuff, but I learned all about how to make sketches, 2D sketches, and then turn them into 3D objects. So this is a 2D sketch of the frame, and this is of the bumper, and then put them together into an assembly, and you can grab the assembly and move it backwards and forwards. So, and you can see here how you flip the bumper over, so you know, like it's rotated around 180 degrees around the center point to form the other side of the bumper, and the frame is just twisted through 180 degrees around a vertical axis, so it plugs onto the other side. And then I intend that microswitches, haven't modeled them yet, but microswitches on these tall side lobes, and I've got some of those microswitches with long levers on them that will stick out and lay against the back side of the bumper, so that when the bumper is moves backwards, they should activate the switch. I'm kind of worried about whether it'll jam when one side gets pushed and the other one doesn't, but if I'm open, I welcome any thoughts that anyone may have on the design. Anyway, that's what I wanted to share.
I'm guessing if you have a lot of slop around your pins, it won't bind that easy. So in other words, if your holes that the pin slides through is, maybe a couple millimeters in diameter bigger. It shouldn't, because
Yeah,
the binding is when it, it tries to twist it.
I made the holes in the frame 8 millimeters, and the pistons attached to the bumper 6 millimeters.
Yeah. It may take an iteration or two to see how much slop you need to make it not bind.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have like a spring that pushes it out?
Yeah. So the spring would sit here in this little gap
Okay.
between the frame and the back side of the bumper. So that pushes it out, and then this washer is one idea for how to limit the outward movement of the bumper so it
Yep.
doesn't pop right out. Another idea could be a pin stuck through horizontally. Haven't really decided on that yet.
Yeah. I've kind of found that getting the right spring can be kind of tricky. Like you don't want a spring that when it's compressed, it interferes like with the switch actuation. So hopefully, like a lot of those switches, they actually switch with very little movement applied to the vane part of it. So it's like in the initial movement of the switch, it'll switch, not at the end of the movement or end of the travel of the vane on the switch. So you might want to look at what springs you can get.
As a priority, maybe I need to get some springs on order. Thanks for that suggestion, Ray.
Yeah. So I've actually used foam. It's like sheet foam. It's got bubbles in it, but it's not like the individual bubbled foam. And that's actually kind of springy. And you can use that sometimes to, in small, when you have really small spaces. I used it on the bumper of the outdoor robot, and that seemed to work pretty good. But
So it doesn't have to actually move very much.
no.
If the bumper switch actuates pretty much as soon as the bumper moves.
Yep.
Okay. Great idea. Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Paul, could you estimate about how much time did it take through their training modules to be able to do this?
Oh gosh. I don't know. I've worked on it for, every now and then for a couple of hours, probably 2 or 3 times a week, and I went through a bunch of the exercises. Maybe look. So here are the models I did. I started off with like they get you to. I just went through the tutorials. So they start off with you doing an extrusion, and then sweeping an extrusion, and then lofting one, and then revolving one, and then they have you sketching. So each of these was probably 2 to 4 hours of working through the tutorial, doing the sketch, and then they have exercises at the end where you test whether you came up with the right weight. It tells you whether you made it right, and then sketching exercises, teacup. I did the rear rim, did this, did the universal joint and the clamp. Clamp is kind of cool. So there's a fair bit of work. I'd guess there's probably I probably did 15 modules, each of which probably took 2 to 4 hours. So I don't know, investment of a couple of man weeks, I guess.
Okay, I don't feel so bad because I sat down to try and figure it out one night to do a mock-up of something and realized that that wasn't going to happen.
Well,
For what it's worth, Paul, we're going to be one of the examples that I'm going to be showing will be a bumper that will have some of the concepts that you showed, but it's just a different bumper. But we'll go do that whole thing and probably go through it in probably 10 minutes. So I think you'll enjoy this next presentation. I think you're going to be ready for it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, Doug, because you guys have so much practical experience on the things that I don't know yet.
Well, I think, one of the things that, do you remember the first time you opened up Excel and you saw a blank workspace and you said to yourself, oh, well, I remember that way back. I think I had a gas powered computer at the time, but anyway, when I did it,
it was VisiCalc for me.
I want to say mine was 1, 2, 3, but the
wood burning computers.
Yeah. And anyway, I mean, it was like, oh my God, now what do I do? I opened it up and it was like, this forest of cells that were all blank. How was I going to do anything with it? And then the thing that I learned out of that was, that's what design is. You just go off and do it. You know what I mean? You if you need a column number, whatever it is. But that first feeling of just, oh my God, this is overwhelming. And it doesn't have to be that way. And the nice thing about CAD programs is there's so many different ways to do it. I mean, it's the same tools, but the way people approach it are different. So there's probably something out there that will work with your mindset. You know what I mean? Anyway, I didn't want to talk about it because 2 weeks you're going to get the whole shebang.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you and John stepping up to talk about this thing, because I think there are a few of us here that haven't done this before and know that we need to know how to do it, and are looking for wisdom from those with experience.
Okay. It'll be good.
Paul, I thought I'd mention, you were talking earlier about springs. I pasted in the chat McMaster-Carr, a link to McMaster-Carr, and they have 3D models you can download of almost any screw, nut, spring that you would like to use. So you can easily just download them and pull them into your CAD model.
Thank you.
Yeah, speaking of that, that's what I'm planning on right now. That's what some of my questions are on. On my Twitch stream on the last couple of weeks, I've been building am I taking over anybody's spot? I don't want to take in front of.
Well, I think I'm next.
Okay, go next.
Okay.
Yeah, next.
So I've been working on my outdoor robot here, and coming along. I've got that push bumper here, and you can see the light goes on. So got that working. One problem with springs I've noticed, though, is until you actually get them on the robot, it's hard to tell how much force you need. And what I ended up doing was taking some long springs and just cutting them shorter and shorter until they worked. And one other note for Tom before I get started is don't underestimate odometry. back in the day when SparkFun was running their autonomous robot competition, which was on pavement, so it's a little bit different. But the robots that won tended to use odometry and gyros, and those were the two main sensors they used. And especially if you're trying to do precise motions, GPS isn't that great unless you're dealing with like centimeter GPS. When you're getting meters worth of error, it's hard to control anything precisely with GPS alone.
Hey, Ted, can you hold it up again?
Yeah. So, and one thing I wanted to point out that I've been working on this week is, so my suspension works, see if I can get this in the frame, works like this. And I actually had this stops before so it would rotate a lot further, but I found that the skid steering, it works a lot better if I bias the center wheel down so it kind of tilts on that center wheel, and then the skid steering, it turns a lot better. I did do some research before I designed the geometry of it to figure out what sort of width I needed on the wheels. And from what I was reading, as long as the wheels were wider than they are long, you should be able to do skid steering. But mine, it's mostly square, and it is.
That's what what's his name recommended to do it square.
Was that David Anderson?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so mine's real close to square, but it has a lot of trouble. It's fine on like pavement, but if you get into deep grass, it has a lot of trouble turning. But biasing that center wheel so it's always further down, and it kind of tilts on that makes it's really a lot more mobile now. The turning's a lot better.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I just wanted to point out was that was my latest change, was getting the steering working. I still don't have it driving autonomously. Just trying to get the mechanics of it working. And I keep telling myself I should just buy a chassis like an RC car. It would be a lot easier and probably less expensive. But I wanted to build my own, design my own, and most of this is 3D printed parts. You can see all the orange and black, and there's some white parts in there. They're all 3D printed. And let's see, the battery is one of these lithium iron, and they always come in sizes that are just not convenient, but I managed to just fit it in through 2 layers of my chassis, and it works.
Ted, it seems to take some effort to lift that thing. Is it?
Yeah, I think it's about 20 pounds now.
It's gonna keep you in shape.
Yeah, it's just getting heavier and heavier.
It's not going to tilt in the wind, is it?
No.
Although it might sink into the soil.
Yeah, that is a bit of a concern. It's still not up to Pat's level of robot.
Yep. Lightweight is a good feature. Yeah.
And he seems to do it with wood. That alone is a trick. I mean, what is that stuff? Teak or something? Yeah. Lead line teak?
But now I know why David Anderson recommends putting handles on your robots.
Yeah.
We haven't got that yet, but it really needs it.
I'm considering a tow hitch.
Yeah.
Or at least a place where you can tie a rope on to pull it on the ground,
Exactly.
Yeah, Karim just, make sure he has a remote control attached to it so he can drive it wherever he goes. Well, that is, as long as it's still driven.
That's a better approach, but we also end up building custom jigs to connect to dollies in hand trucks. as carriers for the robots, because often the robots are too big to fit nicely on a hand cart. Or the center of mass is real weird, so we sometimes build a platform that can be attached to the hand cart to make it all work.
Yours start to fit in the category of man portable. I mean,
Yeah.
with the heavy lift, you know, 2-person lift symbol on the side. I've been wanting to build this into a indoor robot for the longest time. It's from a 60s vintage lantern. I thought, what better handle to have for a robot than something like this? Give it a nice look.
Exactly. Yeah. Cool.
Is that a flashing light?
Well, at the moment, it's a kind of a, you know, nothing, but yeah, it could be flashing. Right now, it's just a dream, like every other part on the shelf over there. Yeah, I think Harold, or did you have more, Ted?
Yeah. So I'm done. Harold can go.
You
Okay,
have a flashing light though. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
yeah. Let me put this back.
That was the first flashing light of the night, wasn't it?
Hey, we got my logo up. This is the thing we had at the. It's kind of hard to see. We're blowing right at the some of the light over doing the white of the C920. But yeah, so here's what I've been in the middle of. Let me show you my screen. You want to pin me up? We're talking CAD, and I got a rant if I want to get into it, but that's maybe old man, shaking fists to the moon or whatever. And I deal with, I don't know, probably a dozen different CAD type interface things for moving things around and objects and all this kind of stuff, and selecting and resizing and all this stuff. Every one of them's different. Light burn is different than the KiCad I have here. That's different than the Fusion 360. That's different from the Cura. That's different from the bamboo slicer. That's different from. It just keeps going. I don't care. Pick a stand. Pick something. Come up with. Have a vote. Hey, we like this. We don't like this. But I know that's never going to happen because in programming we can't decide whether the true and false words have a capital T or a capital F in front of them. So, and we can't even do that, and that's way simpler, right? So, anyway, that's me rambling on. So here's what I'm in the middle of, and I'll show you the 3D representation of it. And I'm not 100% sure what I do next, and so that's why I want to ask folks. I'm working on getting my silk screen on the channel, on the Twitch channel. I decided I wanted a tachometer a few weeks ago, a month ago, 2 months ago. I don't know what it was. And so I also wanted to learn KiCad. And so what I've done is I have this in the wrong place. This is where I'm at in the middle. I'll pull up the 3D viewer. And I'm getting better with moving around on it. And so I've thrown this together. I got a Nano. I got one of those OLEDs. I've got me a horizontal thing for an IR conductor. I've got a few capacitors in there, and a couple of places to plug in some switches. One is a on and off switch, and the other one is a sample switch. And I know I've got a plug-in that takes me to PCBWay. I know I'm supposed to do something like put a bunch of grounds, at least, put as much copper on this thing as I possibly can because it affects the cost. I do know that I can't get my purple board because instead of $5 for 10 of them, it turns into $40 for 10 of them. We're not going to do that just straight up. So knowing all of this that I just said, and I believe I got we modeled the circuit up. We've done all we can do on this. I mean, the circuit's not that difficult as far as things go. This is my first time doing any of this. And what am I supposed to do next is the question. I know that's a nebulous question.
Okay, Harold,
Yeah.
there is on the JLC. I can never get J. I know it starts with J, but the 3-letter way to get
JLCB.
JLPCB.
yeah, to get that. There's a very good way that talks you all the way through the way to get the Gerber files, because there are a few settings on their page that you have to kind of change, and then you just submit the Gerber files. You just drag them. You can have them zipped up. In fact, that's probably a good way to do it, is to zip them up and then drag them up to their web page, and then they'll do a check on it. And that's all you need to do. Now, just from a design point of view, here's something that I don't like. You were talking about adding fills.
Yeah.
You can add fills. Usually they're done with 5 volts and ground. And you see where you got 2 runs right next to each other?
Yeah, right there. Like right
Yeah, that's so you don't have to have them that close. Now, that's not a problem.
I will tell you.
But it bothers, from my point of view, it always bothers me when I see that.
Okay, so let me tell you what I did with all that. Let me tell you what I did with that. I watched there's a 45-minute KiCad video out there, and I went and watched that, and I think I about half listened to it, because you know how I am. I'm only half listening to it, and just go try stuff and see if it doesn't blow up, right?
Yeah.
So what I did was they recommended 2 things. One, this thing here, which is a free routing plugin, and they recommended the PCB Way plugin. Although I'm not married to any of these people.
Yeah.
What the PCB Way plugin does, it can take my design right there, packages up all the stuff, and drops me in a website with the file there. Now, what options I need to do, I have no idea. So I get to play.
Well, if that's if they put that, if that's their widget, it should just work.
Yeah, that's their widget.
So just take it up to the top. Just take up to the top. There should be a place somewhere where you might have to actually make the order, where you go ahead and then you just it says upload Gerbers, and that's probably the zip file that you made with that little add-on. And then they'll check it, and that should be all you need to do. It's really, really simple.
Okay, this is just confused. It's not confusing necessarily. It's just I've never done it before, and it's always been one of these bridge too far. How can you make your own piece? Well, I tried to do a bunch of this in high school, and I was hand etching stuff, and I got the liquid from the Radio Shack and dropped it in there with the etch it resist and did all that stuff and messed it all up. And not that I got scared from doing it, I just didn't have a need to. And now, literally, and the channel's helping me do this. By the way, they're coming up with ideas. So I want to take this board right here, and I'm calling this thing the tack attack. This is the lowest kind of tachometer you can get, but the idea is we're going to get a model of a lightsaber or something along those lines and slide this into it, because you got a tachometer you're attacking with. Never mind.
Okay, now I'm going to tell you one thing that you have to be careful about.
Okay.
All right. Make sure that display isn't thinking that it's going to be mounted on the backside. Otherwise, the squared C's and everything would be backwards.
Yeah. So here,
you have to be really, really careful.
I have found
that everything is all set on the.
I have found this out. If I go here and I say I take off the backside stuff, and I take off the backside silk screens, I'm still seeing this thing here.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah. I might be actually what I might be doing.
It's gonna have to do with your footprint.
This is
if your footprint is flipped.
Hold on. It's flipped right now, and because I went and over here and told it to flip so I could see the back side, because that's what I was working on. So now I flipped it back, so where we're looking at the front side, and so you have the the letter's right. The blue lines are behind us. The
don't look at that. You should be looking at your net to make sure that VC. So, all right. Did you name the traces on your PC board, on your design?
I didn't. Yeah, sure. No, I didn't.
Okay, well, put all your wires back.
Okay.
Okay. Now go to see where it said where the blue wire is.
Yeah.
I think that's on the back side.
That is on the back side.
Okay, we'll go to the next one over then, the red one, and click on it, and it should tell you what it is. You should see. You might have to make it bigger. Just make the whole thing bigger. Do you see anything written on it? Yeah. Okay, so that's 5 volts.
Mhm.
All right. So now, when you look at your display, and you see the blue one is ground. So does your display, when you plug it in, going to go ground 5 volts on the left side?
Absolutely. Yep. I just looked at it.
Okay, then you're good. All right. I'm just saying, you see what you might have found is that they'd be on the right side.
Yeah, I got you.
And then it'll work, but you have to mount it backwards on the back side of the board. And that's not what you want. I just want to say that's something that I found that you can end up getting squirreled.
So this is what I was thinking I was going to do. This mounting thing in the infrared board has a hole in it right here. So after we slide it in, wherever that hole is and whatever case I print in, I'll do a mount so that mounts on there.
Okay.
I was going to put a mounting hole in each corner of the board itself, and then put a mounting hole for the OLED so that can be as secure as I can make it. And then of course this back here has got a USB connection, but if you'll look right here, I've got a plus 5 volt coming in where I've got a totally different board that takes the USB connection, and it's a battery charger / power supply thing where I charge the battery with it, and then the battery supplies to the same board. And that's a separate board altogether that we'll figure out how to stick in a case somewhere. So I didn't bother modeling it up here.
Okay, I'm going to put, it's JCL, right?
Yeah.
JLC.
JLPCB. Yeah.
JLC?
JLC PCB.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, this is how they suggest, this is a good article on how to generate your Gerbers. But if you've got a little plug-in that does it,
Yeah.
you don't need to do it. But you can check this if you need to. I just put it in there.
Okay, got it. I'm gonna make a thing of that, and I will read all that because I have no idea. I'm guessing the standard stuff, the 1 ounce copper plating and all this other kind of stuff is probably okay for what I'm doing here, because I'm not crazy, right? I'm not doing anything serious stuff. All the routing was done with this free routing tool that some guy recommended. I have not married it to him, so I don't know if it's good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's what got this going on right here. These close lines right here.
Mm-hmm. Well, the auto loader, the auto router doesn't care as long as it's inside the design limits. All right. Now, so what I do is when I make my design rules, the ground and the VCC lines would have been I require a bigger spacing and a bigger trace. Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's in the design rules.
Oh, there's the net stuff that you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. You can actually name that to more useful stuff if you want to. You have, if you go into your schematic, there's a place called, I think it's called trace label or something, or label or something like that. And you can use that to name those things.
This thing.
Yeah. So like, let's go down there where you have SCL and SDA. Well, those would be ones that you definitely might want to label. So you click on I think the label is God, where is it? Oh, I'm not in my mind. I don't know. Maybe it just pops up. Click on one of those lines. Does it say label on there anywhere? Add label. Yeah, add label. See it there? Click on that. Now, the one you did was, I think you clicked on SCL. So
Yeah, I did.
call it SCL.
Right?
Okay, now save that or do OK, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Now go back to your PC board. Your PC board.
Yeah. We'll update
Yeah.
from the thing there.
I think it will. I don't know if you. Yeah, you
Oh
have
no,
to.
you got cat
Yeah,
attack.
no, you're right. You have to update the net. There's a net thing you have to update. So once you update that, it shouldn't do anything. Now, all of those lines of warning are probably because you broke some rule. Okay, but now if you can find that same pin, I don't know, it should be going up to the display. It's one of those two over there, and one of them is going to be named S. If you go up, see, one just says net, and the other one should say SP.
I guess I haven't. I thought I updated that, but I guess I didn't.
Okay, but you see how to do it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll have to play with it some more on this thing.
Yeah. You know, I always like to name things, and I also like to do the rule check.
Yeah,
And
I've been doing that, and I fixed a whole bunch of stuff today.
yeah,
And in fact, it caused me to redo my board.
yeah.
On this.
But if you're using the auto router, which I like, by the way, then you know, if you want to adjust it's very easy for you to adjust it afterwards if you want to. You know, if you just grab one of the lines here, you can make it whatever you want it to do. No, I'm not gonna. You got something that you're happy with, you're happy, but you know, I might want to. Yeah, so you can do things like that.
Yeah. And see, there's some things down here, and I know it's really close, and I know it's good, but that right there just seems close to me.
Yeah, this is okay. So here, what's happening here is it's going in at the 45-degree angle. Okay, so pull that one down a little bit, and pull the next one down. You can probably make it go all the way in. There you go. Okay, now you can separate those two lines. I can't tell from this view, but you could separate them a little bit. There you go. I mean, you got to go see where the other end is, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. So, yeah. See, that's doing good right there.
Did it go through the hole where your screw mount is? You might.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, you might want to change that. So you know, it doesn't have to go. I'm just saying. You know, just bring them over one or two, but you know, it just you and then you have to check. Yeah, check the other end and make sure it didn't undo.
Do something crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, and this thing right here.
That's fine. And see that other one? I would just pull him down. Okay, now see the square? Yeah, pull that guy down.
Hold on. We got cat attack. I got two kitties attacking now.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, this is a bad case of you were paying too much attention.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going over at the lockdown. Sorry, I've been clicking on the wrong ones. So I got to take that right there and we move that
down.
Override locks. Why was it be one locked on? Look at that crazy thing there. There you go. That's pretty cool, huh?
Yep.
That's pretty cool, and that don't look bad.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what you always have to go, even after this one's not very complicated, but imagine if you had 15 parts on there, and and all of a sudden, the AutoCAD will give you a solution. It might not give you the best solution, but it'll give you a solution. Doing it by hand is, a days and days of work.
See, like this thing here, that just looks weird to me right there.
Yeah. You see, I would pull the red up a little bit because they're on different levels. You don't have to,
So it just goes into there.
Right. Yeah, right. You got it. And the same with the blue.
Yeah. That makes more sense to me as far as the thing goes.
Yeah. And I would even pull that blue down a little bit so that the 45 gauge, pull it down a little bit. Give yourself a little more space. There you go. That didn't cost you anything.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. And like that right there, see, he's got this thing here. I see what you're talking about. These little bits right here. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I'm guessing it doesn't matter, especially,
well, I think they have to go in. I think the way the auto router does, it enters into the pin at a 90 degrees.
So,
but you don't need to.
You know, I appreciate all the help. I truly do, but I want to show you what I'm fighting right now.
Yeah.
Trying to do this stuff that you're asking me to do.
That's a young one there.
Yeah, they're right at 4 months.
Yeah.
They both decided they need attention right now.
Yeah, they're part Siamese. That's what you got.
Okay. All I know is it's a finch jumper and something else that was a finch jumper. So we got 2 finch jumper things going on.
Yeah. Anyway,
no, do not be eating on the electronic parts. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so I didn't want to take everybody's time crazy like that. I wanted some feedback, and I think I've got some pretty good feedback, and I'm gonna keep playing on it. And tomorrow night I'll be working on it some more, and we might even submit one of these things to go and do, and hopefully it doesn't blow up too terribly bad.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've got
good for you, Harold.
And we'll see. And it's a new skill. I will tell you right now, I was cussing live for about the first couple of sessions where I was playing with this thing. And then all of a sudden something clicked. I can't tell you what clicked necessarily, but something clicked with the interface or the thing, or I finally got it far enough into it where I have enough things that it started looking like a circuit board. And at that point, I'm like, dude, this is cool. We can do these things. And I now wanted to make a round circuit board with all these other kind of cool things on it. And I'm thinking to myself, no, how about we just go square with lines and have something that works? And then we'll worry about the cool things for the first try. Especially, I was just looking at PCBWay for $20. That's $10 in shipping and $10 of boards. And $5 of boards, and not even $20. And I can get 10 boards for less than $20, and it might even be closer to 10 if I find me a coupon that gives me $10 off for my first order. I mean, that's just insane.
Mm-hmm.
Now I got a real simple board here, so that's okay. But even if it was a more complex board, like I had to wire up, I don't know, 10, 15 of those nano pins going to something or whatever they're doing, it still wouldn't have cost me very much more, and it'd been pretty straightforward to do. This is cool. It's really cool.
Harold, I'm throwing out another link for you. This one is when you're ready to do your round board. It's very simple. You do it with Inkscape, and then you make it. Yeah, I think it's a DXL file you make, and then you import the DXL file as a board edge, I think it's called, and just that simple. It really is simple.
Awesome. I'm going to put that up. Going to kick that off into, so when the thing goes away, I'll have a copy of that. And yeah, this is good stuff. I got your article. I got all that stuff. Would you get off my keyboard, Lord? I thought robots were hard. Yeah, cool. I'm looking forward to. I actually will be on. I'll finish up with this. I will be at the. I should be at the. Oh man, kitties. I should be at the in person at DPRG. I will be bringing anything that I have left from the Ron Dagdag thing, which, Doug, I've got you set aside one of those IoT Grove kits.
Great.
Okay. And then anybody else that got stuff up, I found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I got 6 I'm looking at, and then 2 more in boxes that are those TT motor plastic robots that do skid steering, and they've got an Arduino shield attached to them, but no Arduino and other things. Just if somebody wants those things to go do stuff with.
You can stick one of those in for me too. I like those. Little
Okay, I've got you one. Those have been put together, so they kind of got some. They got some love and attention that's been paid to them. But
well, if you've got 6 or 7, are they complete robots?
they have motors, wheels, chassis, and some of them still have connections going to the shield, but no Arduinos. We were running these things with the Arduino 101s.
Yeah.
Which are not Arduinos. They're Intel-based Arduino. That Arduino 101 name. That was whoever was naming these things in Intel land were drinking heavily that day, and that's not a very good name for these things because they look like Arduinos. They say Arduino on them. When you go code them, though, I think you got to code them with the embed stuff or something similar to that.
Yeah.
You might be able to put a sketch on them, but I don't know.
Now, what I'm saying is we were talking about dropping a class, a beginner's class, where we just build a robot, and those might be.
These may go a long way to helping that. Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm happy to donate them. My edict on this was.
Now let's first make sure anybody who wants one.
Yeah, if anybody wants one has them. I want to give them to. I want to say a good home. Somebody's going to use them, just not because I'm a hoarder. I mean, I got stuff around here just sits. I'm trying to get rid of it so it's not sitting anymore. And if it's gonna just sit, I'd rather give it to somebody who's going to put it to use. Not that kind of thing. And because I'm trying to get out of the habit of getting things to just sit, which is a hard habit to break.
Harold, do you have 2 more of those IoT kits?
Yeah, you want some? You want to hold them back? I got a whole case over there. I gave 3 or 4 to the lab guy that I met up with. We've got some affiliation going on with improving with the lab, and so I gave 3 or 4 of them to him. But I got a whole nother case. I got 10 or 12 more of those things.
Okay, yeah. There's 2 kids at the pantry that.
Okay, right.
They'd look at.
So I've got 3 for sure. I can't give away. 1 for Doug and 2 for Ray. Not a problem.
Okay.
There's another thing that I got here, which is insane. It was a Kickstarter. Let me pull this up real fast. They're not supported anymore. I got a couple of Kickstarter things. One of them is this unlimited hand. This is the thing you strap on your wrist for a haptic feedback. It's tied to a Arduino. It has like gel pads and other junk that are consumable actually. And so I'm like, I'm going to bring this. If somebody wants it, have it, run with it. I don't even care if you let it sit somewhere because I've got a couple of people on my channel that love to have Kickstarter stuff, failed stuff, even because they collect failed Kickstarter things for some reason. That's one of their things. And this was a Kickstarter, and you don't see these things for sale anymore. The last time I saw a blog posting on this was like in 2022. So the device is kind of neat, but no one's doing anything with it. Also, I got an Azure preset. So if those things went out of support over 1.5 years ago. So if anybody wants that thing, it's a really quality feeling piece of hardware. You can have it too. I'll bring it if it doesn't end up going away real quick to somebody. Like I said, anything I got left, I'm going to bring, and we can decide how much of that actually hits the free table at DMS after everybody gets their stuff. I didn't mean to take all that much time now. So I truly did. I just get to talking, and before I know it, I've been talking a long time.
Well, I think we're up to the open mic section of the meeting, aren't we? Is there anyone else who has anything specific that they want to show?
Yeah, I got something.
Yeah.
Okay. Share screen. Share. Oops. Share. Okay. Okay, now this is for somebody who doesn't have the time to learn anything new about mechanical design. It's Tinkercad. It's part of Autodesk. I think it's for lazy people and younger adults that, just don't have a lot of time or energy to devote to, learning new tools. So anyway, so these are, I've used it, a lot, and it's pretty handy. You can, basically you can go in and you use basic shapes, and I think probably, okay, like here, I'll click on this one. Okay. Yeah. Okay. 3D. Click on this. Okay. Come on. Anyway, so you can.
Ray, I recommend this to everybody that wants to know how they start. I always recommend this because it's nice and approachable.
Very simple. Yeah. So you start out with basic shapes, and you pull them down to the platform, and you can change what the dimensions are. And if you want, holes for screws, or they even have, I think, one for hex, like a hex pattern for, nuts of different sizes, metric nuts and things like that to attach your metric screws to. It's just very simple, and pretty much you through either joining different shapes or separating different shapes. There's different kinds of alignments that you can do. You can mirror or flip. I wanted to get out of that. Anyway, so you can do complex things like this thing. That was a big wheel divided up into, I think, 18-degree. Yeah, I think it was 18-degree segments. So I had 20 partitions in a circle. There's one of them here with gears. I found a gear generator that works really well. Where is that? But they're just, simple shapes that you just need in plastic that, oh yeah, here's a rack and a pinion. These are different containers, threaded containers. Those were different cogs for G20 belts. Encoder wheels, did several of these. This one is the one that's got the gears on them. Use the gear generator for that. These are other encoder discs, just single channels things. And a lot of it's not real complicated, but doesn't necessarily need to be. So anyway, thought I'd throw that out there just for, I know a lot of the other packages are a lot more complex and you can do a lot more stuff with it. But, if you're looking for something quick and dirty, it's simple. It's easy.
Shep 3D, which is a big, well-known 3D printer, he doesn't do anything but Tinkercad ever, which is
that covers it for him, huh?
Yeah, it covers it for him, and he gets it all done. And I don't know, it kind of bugs me because I want to do more things, but he gets it done with it, and I'm like, oh, cool.
Yep. Yep. Anyway. But I still look forward to seeing, Doug's presentation on more sophisticated tools than Tinkercad. But
I would argue that you'll see it's pretty easy too. It's
Yeah.
just how you approach it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of the, as far as I know, a lot of the concepts are similar. You know, you start out with a basic shape and pull it in different directions to get it to be the dimension that you want, and merge it with other pieces or parts. Or now you can't do, you know, 3D assembly drawings like you can in some of the other CAD programs, but
Right.
you know, for the most part, you know, my thing is, you know, it's stuff for the mechanically declined. You know, you have a big screw and it goes into a big hole, you know, and it all kind of, you know, if I know that the little tabs on the end or the tab in the middle has to fit between the two tabs on the end, you know, I can usually make that work. So, but anyway.
Yeah, I think there's also there's the first level of just making it work. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Where, you know, it's kind of boxy, not very, you know, not
elegant.
Yeah, not elegant. And then there's those guys that, you know, it's got, you know, it's all, what do you call it? Airstreamed, and every edge is beveled, and it's, you know,
Got fillets and rounds on everything, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
I have a new test for that, how easy it is to use a CAD tool. And I agree with you on the bevels and rounds and clean, elegant design stuff. But this is what I tried to model the other night, and I just gave up. I did something kludgy in Inkscape, and then I outsourced it. But this will be basically made out of steel. It's 8 feet along the back side. It's going to be a 2-level planter, 3 feet high. But there's hardly a square angle on it anywhere. And
you said it's going to be made out of steel?
Core 10 steel. It's going to weigh like 400 pounds.
Jesus.
8th inch Core 10 steel.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. 1/8 inch. Wow.
Yeah. And I bet it's still going to need like internal cross brace, because when you put soil in, I don't want it to go bulge.
Or even just the weight of itself will probably deform it. Yeah.
Maybe a little, I think, but yeah.
Is there no bottom to it? Is it like go over a screen bottom and so it can drain better, or what?
Sit on the dirt and fill it with dirt, and then put.
I got you. Yeah.
But the shape was, I thought the shape was kind of cool, and it's so much easier to describe than to make it and calculate all the angles. And then thinking about it, like looking at it from this angle, I figured that this angle would be the same as looking at it from this angle, but that's not true. So it took a little bit of mental manipulations to figure out what's going on with it. But I'll tell you how it works out in about 2 weeks.
I'm just curious, how much does something like that cost, Carl? It's got to be expensive.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's a custom. We'll see.
Is that a honeydew?
Definitely bigger than a bread box.
Yeah. Ask me offline. Ask me when the final part comes in, because I think that, like, the original cost didn't include these internal supports. The guy thought he could cantilever the upper part and then fill it with dirt. And I said,
Wow.
Yeah. So we'll see.
We'll see.
So is that a honeydew project, or?
It's a kids out of college, house is paid off, so the monthly mortgage goes to landscaping and other things now. So
wow.
Over for a while. So too many projects at once, and not enough time to learn the tools to do it yourself, right? So
yep,
got to pick and choose what you want to do.
So you're going for House of the Year award or something, right?
We're going for something fun that we can enjoy.
Okay, that's good.
If somebody else likes it, more power to them. If the HOA doesn't shut us down because they don't like it, then more power to us. But,
there you go.
Well, you can tell them they can just move it.
Yeah,
Move it.
to a degree.
Yeah. Whoa. 1/8-inch steel, you say, huh? I think you need to pull out your calipers and look at that.
Well,
I think
we're gonna do that because the funny thing is that I had that sketched in my brain about a month ago, and then I've been going back and forth with the designer that we're going to use to build it, and then we went to Banff. We went to the Columbia ice fields in Canada last week, and in Banff there is a skywalk that's made of what? Corten steel.
Mm-hmm.
So that's people over there, and that's a giant, and it's got the same crazy angular stuff, and that's the steel we're going to use. So I actually got ideas on how to join it and tension it, and here's this beautiful outdoor location with a melting glacier, and what do? I take pictures of the eyelets holding the steel cables to figure out how it's made. Because I thought, well, I could do this on the inside to strengthen it instead of using rebar.
Oh yeah,
So much elegant. So, but
And surely that would be cheaper than rebar.
This,
Yeah.
I figure at the very least it would be much more adjustable than rebar.
You'll have the nicest $3,000 planter on the street.
I mean, it'd be so much easier to go to Sprouts and buy oregano when we need it, but
Something to be said for wood, you know.
yeah, wood is, and so you replace it every couple of years. So what?
So I have a robot-related couple questions.
Good.
So one of them is driving this guy, which is like a differential drive robot, so left wheels, right wheels. If you're going to create the drive mechanics for it, am I better to have both motors turning the same direction, so clockwise or counterclockwise, to go forward? On a typical differential drive robot, you have one motor facing one way and one motor facing the other way. So one motor is going forward, one motor is going reverse, actually, as you're driving forward.
Right.
With this guy, with the drivetrain, I can modify the drivetrain so that both motors turn the same direction to go forward. Both motors, same direction to go reverse.
Depends on
So
your
let's say-
motors. Some motors are biased to with their windings to favor a certain direction, be more efficient in a certain direction. Most are not. Most lower end motors are not, but it's certainly possible. But you'd have to measure it to see if that matters on your for your motors.
Yeah, I know, like those little TT motors driving forward, with no load, is definitely faster one direction than the other. So I haven't measured the motors I'm going to be using. Mickey had a question. What size wheels are those? They are roughly 12-inch, 13-inch snowblower tires. So the other question I had was contest related, traffic cones. So if we're going to have a contest up north, we need some traffic cones to meet expectations. So this is the link that Doug had put in for a cone out of Home Depot in the US. Looking in Canada, I have a choice of about 3 different cones. One of them 18 inches. This guy.
That's the cone that's preferred.
Okay, so they got this guy for $19.
All right.
Oh, the one
Then
with the black base?
Yeah, Amazon has this guy in orange. I've seen these cones before. The reflective tape can be peeled off quite easily.
Yeah, that's probably the same cone.
So would either one be acceptable for a contest?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the black base is preferred, Doug?
Traditionally, yeah. So
Okay.
all the cones we have are the back blade. That right there.
Okay.
If you look at the rule set, there's 2 cones shown. There's the, I think I call it preferred, and then there's the other one. The other one is the bright red one that Pat showed. And if Pat had 3 cones already, like he did a couple years ago, and they did have stripes on them, I don't know where he got them. I think he borrowed them from somebody. You know, that's all. Okay, well, you know, if you have those cones, go ahead and use them.
They are about 27 inches tall.
Oh, well, they shouldn't be.
Tall.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't want to use those if you could. Try to stay to the 18-inch.
They're fine for doing testing and stuff right in and around, but
yeah,
to do the contest, I need to find an 18-inch cone.
All right.
I can get the one out of Home Depot to match. The problem is it's like $45 a piece to ship to Canada.
I was amazed to buy that, Pat. You know, you keep talking about how bad it is to ship there, but you know, to send those little plastic trophies to you guys was almost $20 a pop.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? I mean, I could send Ray 2 of them for that cost, probably a dozen. You know, I mean, actually, you know, I would have just stuck them in an envelope and sent it to him.
I'd drive one for half the price.
Huh?
I would drive one to Ray for half the price.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, Canada Post is not cheap.
Why is the reason for that? Is it just because you have so many remote locations and they just average the cost, or do people in remote locations pay more?
Huskies, probably the cost of husky dogs.
Generally, they're, you know, if you look at mail systems in across the countries, like yours versus ours, so you have 10 times the population. So let's assume 10 times the amount of mail going across the country. We have a country, I don't know, it's just the same size or bigger.
Yeah.
With 10 times less population, a lot of the geography to cover.
Yeah.
And if you're sending a letter to Toronto in Southern Ontario, well, it costs me the same amount to send it to the Yukon. You know, it's the same, whatever it is now, $1.50 to send a letter.
It sounds to me like what you guys need to do is work out some sort of deal where do you get free if you have do you have Prime up there, Pat? I assume you do.
I use Amazon Prime quite a bit, yes.
Yeah, so that's free shipping up there?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd send my mail, I'd put it on there as a listing as a product and sell it for $2 and then say, let it go that way. Anyway, okay. All right, I was just curious. I got to admit, I was absolutely stunned at how expensive it was.
Yeah, well, the other one is you guys keep talking about going out to Micro Center and, you used to have tanners and whatever. Like we've got nothing like that. I live in a town with 5,000 people.
Yeah.
I'm 45 minutes away from a major city in, or a big city in Ontario, like a rural city. So 175,000 people.
Just if you bought from like RoboShop in Canada,
yes,
is that cheaper?
Shipping typically is $13. So I just bought that Teensy from RoboShop, and RoboShop had the Ethernet connector for it. So I said I might as well get it. It was the connector was only about $6, and still, like I say, $13 shipping. And then of course the Canadian government wants their tax on the shipping as well.
Wow.
So it was $40 some for the Teensy Canadian, another $5 or $6 for the Ethernet connector, and then shipping $13 plus tax.
Wow.
So you pay tax on the whole shoot and match together. Still, it was right around $65 for the whole order. 68 or $69.
Wow.
So when you look at it in the US, TC selling for whatever it is, $38, $39.
Hmm.
I think it's that much.
What about these places like some of the places in China? If you have an order over $50, they'll send it to you for free.
Yeah.
Do you get that?
Yeah, so I use AliExpress quite a bit, and I think my Canadian counterparts do the same.
Yeah.
I know John orders quite a bit he orders some stuff from Pololu.
Yeah.
And I find they're expensive for shipping. I tend to use Canadian counterparts. So I've ordered some motors for my outdoor robot, the old one.
Yeah.
And they were from Pololu, but I bought them in Canada. Just because the shipping costs were drastically cheaper.
I've got some friends. That do all the Christmas lighting, now Halloween lighting, and all those kinds of things where they light up their house and tape the music and do all that kind of stuff. And the reason I know this is because they used to meet up with me about the same time I had my 3D printing thing going on at Improving. So we had a big old party there. And as I was talking to them, it seems what they do is they get together. Now, since what they're ordering, they need to order, like, I need 4,000 lights or whatever it is, right? They get together and they literally see how much of a shipping container they can collectively put together to reduce all the shipping costs and get all the stuff a little bit cheaper on a per piece basis. I'm sure it's not cheaper total at the moment as far as the thing goes, but on a per piece, I bet it gets pretty cheap. And they literally fill up a shipping container and have it shipped over and then disperse it all around to the people around that are in the thing. Unless they got some club thing going on. I don't know how they actually pull that off, but
did we answer Pat's question? Because I've got a robot related question if we did.
Yeah,
Okay,
my question was answered.
Yeah, Pat, I think the question was answered by Kareem. Typically where they go clockwise with the red dot, if I remember right, that's the preferred direction.
Yeah, Kareem answered my question pretty well. So as simple as I'm not going to change anything mechanical, and I'm just going to add my motors in there.
Okay.
And hopefully next week I have motors spinning.
Cool.
It matters less if you have encoders, right? Because we used to, in the days before we had encoders regularly on our motors, we would actually test multiple motors because there's variation in the lower quality motors that we had, and we would have to sort of match them up at the same voltage, what kind of RPM we were getting. So yeah, there was some variance, but ours tended to be mostly symmetric, and it was just bad, quality thing. But if you have encoders and you're doing, proper speed control, then that just doesn't matter quite as much, unless they're really horribly biased.
Well, that's what we're just going to see how these go. Like you say, with the encoders, I should be able to tune everything out of it, mostly out of it.
No, completely. You can tune it completely out with good encoders. We used to do a test of our one of the tests that we would typically do to make sure that we had straight figured out, or velocity figured out, is we would wrap extra like foam around a tire to artificially increase its diameter, right? And then see if we could still get the that will change if you're doing motor encoders, because now you're actually covering more ground. So that would be a test that we would put against our IMU, so it would artificially bias it, even though we were telling it from a diodometry standpoint to go straight, but then our IMU would have to like kick in a lot of extra correction. So there's different things you can do to create weird test scenarios to make sure that your encoders are working, or whatever sensor you're following is working.
Thanks, Kareem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done. Whoever's got anything else?
Yeah. So I've been looking at Why can't I share my screen? Let me share.
We can't hear you, Paul.
Can you
You're
hear
very
me
quiet.
now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. I'm trying to share my screen, and there we go. I've been looking at so someone in the group recommended 10th scale RC crawlers as a platform, and so I've been looking at it from a point of view of a new RoboCommerce platform, and I see all kinds of ranges of stuff from up in the $500 range down to UCs that are in the 3 to 4 down to 160, and some of them are even less, like 75 here. And I'm just kind of wondering if anyone knows. So a couple of things. These seem real common, these real tall platforms with a car body on top of them. But is that really enough? Tall and expensive. I'm sorry, tall and inexpensive. But is that enough space? Like, can you put a platform on top of that and put, your computer and batteries and sensors and all that kind of stuff?
Hey, Paul. So, if I'm not mistaken, that Danchi Ridge Rock, the 4-wheel steering one, I think that's the one that actually Raj has, and that he's been preparing for Robo Columbus.
Oh,
yeah, I think he's used that specific one. If I remember, it looks very much like what he has. So, you might want to reach out to him and see what he thinks.
Yeah. Thanks. I'll do that.
I wonder if Danchi is the cousin of Banshee, maybe.
Where do they get these names from? Yeah.
But I mean, at a higher level, the things that are obviously important are knowing how far the wheels have turned, and am I right in thinking that these 4-wheel drive rock crawlers have locked differentials and transfer cases, so it really doesn't do you any good to have encoders on the different wheels because it's just going to be kind of approximate anyway?
Yeah, that'd be a Doug question, I think.
My only experience is with those ones that are like the one you showed there for 134. There's some of them have where the wheels in the front can turn and the wheels in the back can turn independently, but those don't cost $134. But sometimes you can find where people have successfully modified cars in that range to be able to do where the front and rear can turn independently, so it can like drive in a real sharp circle and a few other things.
Yeah.
Now, but the other thing I've seen, and especially as the price goes down, is they're really kind of built to just carry the weight they've got. So doesn't
no lead acid batteries, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean. If you start putting
them out the suspension.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what he pays. What do you want to spend on it? I guess that's the question.
Well,
minimum amount.
I thought 300 would be great. If I have to go to 500, so be it. If I could do it for 150. So,
well, then I would talk to Mike and see, because he's got I want to say it's a 1.8 or a 1.6.
Yeah, he's got a 1.6. He spent some big bucks on that. But, saying he might have researched the 1/10 scale.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just saying that you might but it's interesting that he got the one that looked more like a Jeep. Okay. Now, I guess I would just start checking the rock crawler people, because they, you know, they're a really active group, and you can probably find. But I'm just saying that on the ones that have the real high, you know, where everything goes up to like a triangle like that 134.
Yeah.
That, like I say, the cheaper they are, the less weight they're going to carry, and I think that's a problem. You know, I've used on mine. I've always used what they call a basher. Now, I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. That isn't necessarily the right thing to do, but I'm just saying
What's a basher?
a basher is one that you run flat out, full speed, and you know, see if you can wreck it in the afternoon. Where the rock crawlers, you know, those guys, they like to go up vertical walls. You know, they're really into strange stuff. So, but I guess you know, it might be a real interesting. I mean, you know, drones are light. You know, there's no reason. You've already got your motors in those things, so the only thing you really haul and they already have a battery. So I don't know how big a battery. You better check that out. You know, but a 1/10 scale ought to be able to have at least a 220 milliamp hour 12-volt battery in it. Though a lot of them will have 7.4. Some of them will allow you to go to 12 as an upgrade for a speed upgrade, but you don't really care about that. But the nice thing about a big one is that you're taking less amps.
Yeah, the other thing that you might want to do is call around to the Hobby Lobbies, because depending on the time of year, they will get used stuff in that may be what you want for. I don't know how significant it is off, but especially when they come out with when Traxxas fires up a new model,
Yeah,
guy says they get a lot of them in here. You tend to go pretty quick, and they don't advertise them. So
yeah,
that might be a possibility.
yeah, and they're still going to be expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do they call it? Hobby Town?
Hobby Town. Yeah.
Yeah. They're. I've been in there, and it's kind of like scary. You know, I guard my wallet as best I can. But I was looking at trying to get some big tires for my thing, and the Traxxas the biggest I could find that is easy to get is Traxxas. They make an 8.4-inch tire, and 2 of them cost them $70. So that's, you know, that's $140 for tires.
Yeah.
You know.
And then
And when you go and you look at the reviews, you know, these guys are saying, well, this is my 4th set. And I'm going like, holy crap, you know, that's not, you know, that's too much money for me to buy, you know, hobby tires. But anyway, that's a different story.
Right. I think that my long-term goal is to compete in Robo Magellan, as he said.
Yeah, mine too.
Have that.
Yeah, mine too, because I want to do that too.
Right. So I'm looking at this for that kind of platform, and it seems to me it just needs to be able to climb over curbs, and handle moderately rough terrain, sort of like what's out at Steve's place. But the curbs
thing
be
can
the
climb
big
over
add-on.
curves.
Huh?
Paul, if you're into low dollar investment, I got this for $5 at the Goodwill. It's Ackerman. It's there's a motor in the front, a motor in the back. They're not tied to each other. If I had I got.
That's got big wheels too.
Yeah. Let's see.
Wow.
You got a banana for scale?
Those are 6 inches.
Oh.
And that's not my wife's 6 inches, by the way. That's
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
We don't need Carl blushing.
Anyway, as far as the, you know, the body that came off it is pretty light, but between the mounting screws, you've got a foot in the long direction and about 3 3/4 inches in the other direction. And those are the mounting screws where the body went on, so you could use it for that. But it's, you know, it's not that $100-some-odd platform. It's much less expensive.
What's the brand on it, Ray? Is it a Bright? What do they call it?
New Bright.
Yeah, it's a New Bright.
Yeah.
So if you want to look at the bottom dollar stuff, then you might find something. You can look up New Bright, and they got all sorts of stuff. Now that's going to be toy grade usually. I think they might make some low hobby grade stuff, but I think most of it's toy grade. But you probably could get something acceptable. That was like what Tom showed, and I showed earlier. You can get something like that if you're lucky at. I've never been as lucky as Ray at the Goodwill. Greg gets.
I don't know. You came up with some really cheap, good, great bargains. So
I don't know, but not like that. But I'm just saying that you could, if the problem is you got till November, so that's September, October. So, and since it's the fourth week, you probably got 3 months left.
Yeah.
So
it'd be struggle, but but they don't get back into town till September.
Yeah.
But sort of, I guess you really, the assertion was made at a recent RBNV that if you got a decent compass and IMU, then odometry doesn't matter too much as long as you know how far you went. Give or take some, and because the ground's all kind of bumpy anyway. And so I'm sort of wondering, do you really just maybe want to count the motor revolutions for a single motor that drives all the wheels? Would that be good enough?
Well, okay. Now I've actually figured out on my bashers a place where I could put in a really nice encoder. But the main thing you can do, if you're using a brushless motor, just count the pulses, and then you figure out how far you went, and figure out what the gear ratio from the motor to the wheels is, and you can get a reasonable thing. Now the one thing you might have to watch is that, like, if the speed suddenly goes otherwise, if you think about it, if it's stuck, the wheels, it will try to, it's saying, as far as the robot says, I'm not moving. And so it tries harder to move. So it's probably going to spin in some wheel somewhere really, really far, really fast. You know what I'm saying? So you need to ignore that in your odometry,
Right.
You know what I'm trying to say. But, you can use autopilots, and they don't have any odometry. Autopilots work pretty good. So, I mean, especially when you're considering you really just want to get close, and then you're hoping your sensors will take over.
Right. Well, okay. Well, thanks for the suggestions. I'll touch base with Raj and Mike and see what wisdom they can offer. And
well, you might want to ask Mike, like, okay, I know you went the Cadillac road, but what did you consider before you went there, and why did you go that way?
Right.
You know,
Yep. You were saying Newbright, is that Newbright?
right? New Bright, NEWBRIGHT. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Didn't come up on Amazon, but okay.
yeah. It's a big Chinese RC toy company.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, thanks for the thoughts, guys.
I guess that's it. Is that all, everybody?
Can we talk on Kareem's rules question quickly?
Which one?
1020. Do you get the no GPS points if you use GPS RTK before the run as a way of calibrating your odometry for Steve's specific terrain?
Okay, you can't run the robot on the course. The robot cannot run on the course. You could go off to the practice cone and use it to calibrate your odometry, but you can't run on the course beforehand.
So the practice cone being the first cone?
Practice cone. No, the practice cone would be an extra cone just set out.
Oh, okay.
There's a
What's
whole
the,
second
the
course
peculiar-
set up.
Hmm?
There's a whole second course set up with just two cones, a start and an end. That's completely separate from the competition course, and that's what Doug is referring to.
Usually it's just
Okay.
one cone. Usually it's just one cone, but whatever.
Yeah.
But it is
Sorry,
there
yeah.
on Steve's. So to the degree that Steve's ground and grass is homogeneous across.
Yeah, you could run it over, you don't even need a cone. You could just run it a certain distance on the not near the course and do a calibration. Is that adequate, Kareem?
Yeah, it's especially if I'm using RTK. It's
Yeah.
I'm going to know exactly how far I went,
Yeah.
and it's just a matter of finding some portion of the property that seems, like Carl said, sort of average
Mm-hmm.
for the
representative
kind of bumpiness that you would run into.
Mm-hmm.
bumpiness, slippity grass
Yeah.
Yeah. all
on
that.
elevation, angle, or inclination dependent slippity grass.
Large cracks.
Kareem, do you think that Barney is going to make a showing at Robo Columbus?
I hope so. I'm not going to 100%.
Ooh,
I'm not going to 100% guarantee it. But
I'm
yeah,
excited.
I hope so.
Excited. Awesome.
I am very bogged down in gazebo stuff right now. I decided that basically it was I mean, it's not that scary of a robot, but it damages things and people when it runs into shins and stuff like that, and it's just got this determination to keep on moving, and and I figured I'd try and get it working in simulation first, and I've been having a lot of problems with that. So
Maybe a little pipe
Uh,
insulation on the front of it or something, a pool noodle or something.
yeah, that worked out. That worked out on the hovercraft. So maybe that's a
Yep.
good idea. Although in this case, it would obscure the sonar sensors.
Oh,
Maybe I could mount it on top and have it extend out. I don't know. Might be a good idea. I hadn't thought of that.
Maybe when your sensors say that there's somebody near, that you have an obstacle, it just says, Step away from the robot. Step away from the robot. You know.
I haven't put a speaker on it yet. That's also, I got to figure out the right, because then you get into amplifiers and all this other choices, and it's amazing how loud you need it to be the equivalent of like a human's range, vocal range.
Yeah. The human screaming in pain, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Excuse me, pardon me, coming through.
Exactly.
Or the Dalek saying exterminate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to
All right.
stick a plunger on the front of it too.
Why not?
Cheap props.
Well, maybe on that note, maybe we ought to call it a night.
Okay.
I think so. Night, guys.
All right.
Good
Good
night.
talking to you guys.
Thanks
Have
for
a
your
good
help,
week.
everybody.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, which one of us will turn this off recording?
I can turn it off.
I got it too. Here we go. I clicked stop. We'll be